I told you pirates weren't just treasure hunters? The real pirates of the Caribbean weren't anything like the stories you've been told. They were rebels, outcasts, and survivors, and their lives were far darker and more chaotic than the legends. Stick around, because we're exposing the raw, untold truth about the golden age of piracy. The phrase, Pirates of the Caribbean, might make you think of epic sword fights, buried treasure, and fearless captains. But the reality of life as a pirate is nothing like the movies. From the brutal conditions on their ships to the daring battles against empires, the truth is both grim and fascinating. Today, we're diving into what really happened during the golden age of piracy, how these infamous figures rose to power, and how their rebellion changed history. To understand pirates, you need to understand the chaos of the Caribbean in the late 1600s. This wasn't a peaceful tropical paradise. It was a war zone. The Spanish, English, French, and Dutch were fighting for control of colonies, shipping routes, and resources. Gold, silver, and spices were flowing from the Americas to Europe, and the empires wanted it all. Now imagine being a sailor during this time. You worked long hours for little pay. You lived on hardtack and salt pork, often crawling with worms. Disease, starvation, and brutal discipline were constant threats. For many sailors, piracy was an escape. It was freedom, adventure, and, most importantly, a chance to share in the wealth that only the rich seemed to enjoy. Why did people turn to piracy? Imagine this, you're a sailor, and you've just spent months crossing the Atlantic on a cramped, filthy ship. Your captain takes most of the profits, and you're left with barely enough money to survive. Now you hear about pirate crews where loot is shared equally among the crew. You get a say in decisions, even electing your captain. Skin color or social status doesn't matter. For many sailors, this was an irresistible offer. Piracy wasn't just about gold, but it was about breaking free from oppressive systems. It's why pirate crews were some of the most diverse groups of their time. Africans, indigenous people, and escaped slaves sailed alongside Europeans, creating a unique mix of cultures. Blackbeard wasn't just a pirate. He was a master of psychological warfare. He tied fuses into his beard and lit them during battles, creating a terrifying image of smoke and fire. But here's the catch. He rarely had to fight. His reputation alone made most ships surrender without resistance. In 1718, Blackbeard blockaded the port of Charleston, South Carolina, demanding medicine as ransom. This bold move made him one of the most infamous pirates of his time. Bonny and Mary Red. Bonny and Mary Red are two of the most legendary female pirates in history. Disguised as men, they fought alongside their crewmates and were known for their ferocity. During a skirmish, while most of the male pirates hid below deck, Anne and Mary stayed on deck, fighting off attackers. When captured, they delayed their executions by claiming to be pregnant, a clever tactic that bought them time. Henry Avery, Long Ben. Henry Avery was one of the few pirates who got away with his crimes. In 1695, his crew captured the Ganges Sawai, a Mughal treasure ship carrying unimaginable riches. This raid was so controversial it caused an international incident. Unlike most pirates, Avery disappeared, his fate unknown. The Pirate Code. Pirates weren't lawless. They followed their own set of rules, known as the Pirate Code. Here's what it looked like. Equal shares. Every crew member got a share of the loot. Compensation for injuries. If you lost a limb in battle, you received extra gold. No fighting on board. Disputes were settled on shore, often with duels. This sense of fairness was revolutionary at a time when most sailors were treated like disposable tools. Life on a pirate ship was tough, Here's what you had to deal with. Food. Meals consisted of hardtack, rock-hard biscuits, dried meat, and fish, often rotting or full of maggots. Living conditions. Ships were overcrowded, with little space to sleep or move around. Hygiene. Forget baths. Pirates went months without washing. Diseases like scurvy and dysentery were common. Danger. Between storms, naval ships, and rival pirates, death was a constant risk. Despite these challenges, pirates valued their freedom and camaraderie. The rise of Nassau. The Pirate Republic. In the Bahamas, pirates created a stronghold known as Nassau. This wasn't just a hideout, it was a pirate republic. Here's what made Nassau unique. It was free from European control. Pirates ruled themselves, electing leaders and creating their own laws. It became a haven for outlaws, escaped slaves, and anyone seeking freedom. But Nassau's success made it a target for European powers, who eventually sent fleets to shut it down. The brutality of piracy. While pirates are often romanticized, their methods were brutal. Torture. Pirates used extreme measures to get prisoners to reveal the locations of hidden treasure. Violence. Captains like Blackbeard used fear and intimidation to maintain control. No mercy. Civilians weren't always spared. Pirates targeted anyone who stood in their way. At the same time, many pirates freed enslaved people and welcomed them into their crews. This duality, ruthlessness mixed with rebellion, makes their history so fascinating. The fall of piracy. By the early 1700s, piracy had become a major problem for European empires. Here's how they fought back. Military force. Governments sent warships to hunt pirates and destroy their hideouts. Pardons. Pirates who surrendered were often offered pardons, though not all accepted. Public executions. Captured pirates were hanged, and their bodies displayed as warnings to others. One of the most famous examples was the death of Blackbeard in 1718. He was killed in a brutal battle with the British Navy, his head displayed on a ship's bow. By the 1730s, the golden age of piracy was over. One of the most dramatic stories in pirate history is the capture of the Revenge in 1720. Bonny and Mary Read were on board, fighting off attackers while the male pirates hid below deck. When they were captured and sentenced to hang, Anne reportedly told Calico Jack, "If you'd fought like a man, you wouldn't be dying like a dog." Anne's fate remains a mystery, but her boldness solidified her place in history. Pirates of the Caribbean weren't just criminals. They were rebels against a world that gave them no options. They lived by their own rules, challenged oppressive systems, and left a legacy that still captivates us today. From Blackbeard's terrifying tactics to Anne Bonny's fearless defiance, their stories remind us of the price of freedom. Want more untold stories like this? Subscribe and watch the next video. It's even better.